Hey everybody, Outdoor Detective here. So welcome to the new Fish Box Garage. So today we're going to see if we can do some maintenance on a 2018 Chevrolet Colorado. All right, folks, here we go with the rear brake caliper, and we're going to see if we can't crack that loose. The small bolts that are on the caliper slide, which runs through here, 12 millimeter. See if we can't crack that loose. Take them both out. All right, we'll crack them loose. Not much to them. We have enough light in there that you can see. Get them out of there quick. I'm going to take them out. They look pretty good, actually. They're not all grunged up or anything. This is a 2018. Pull the caliper out. Set that up here for the time being. Let's see if we can't slide the brake pads out and see what we have here. Some left on there. I have to tell you a little story. Now we're at the end of January of 2024. In January of 2023, I had this vehicle inspected, and the garage said that I needed brakes and rotors. I didn't believe them, and I said, well, I'll handle it myself. And as you can see, for a whole year and probably 15,000 miles, and I still have some left. That's why you do this stuff yourself. All these places, all they want to do is rip you off now. It's driving me crazy. On top of it, I then took my big truck that you guys have seen in other videos and had taken that to the same garage for just an inspection. He happened to say when I went to pick it up that my big truck needs to have a brake fluid flush at 10,000 miles. I was like, nope. So just to make sure, I called a Ford dealer and actually spoke with one of the Super Duty guys. Apparently they have their own team that works on the Super Duties. And I said, is there any such thing that you heard of this, that at 10,000 miles I need a brake fluid flush? And also, is there any form of service bulletin? And he said no and no. So once again, they tried to do something that wasn't necessary. I don't get it. It drives me crazy. So we took out the caliper slide bolts that were up here. We're going to clean them up too. And then the bolt for the actual bracket so we can change the rotor, that's 18 millimeters. So let's pull these out and clean them up. You just grab a hold of them, pull them out of the boot, roll that boot down a little bit, and pull them right out. We're going to clean them up pretty good. Take notice there's a flat side here. When we put that back in, on the back side of this bracket where this slides in, to make that tight, that has to fit against the same flat side on the bracket. Otherwise, this will just spin when you turn the bolt in. It just continues to spin and won't lock down for you. So let me put some anti-seize on this and we'll stuff her back in there. So we're using Loctite LB8150, the anti-seize. Got that on the caliper slide bolt. We'll stick that back in there and pull this out slightly and push that boot over top of the slide bolt. Let me show you something here with the second one. I'll pull this out. When I take this out, you'll notice right here, there's a little bit of a ring around the top of the slide bolt. This rubber boot that is right here, you have to snap that over the top of that ring, so because you don't want any weather or moisture or elements getting in there. You want to keep these nice and clean and smooth. You know, these don't even need to be wire wheeled. They're nice and smooth yet. I mean, the truck is about 60,000 miles, so I don't think it's doing that bad yet. So let me pull that bolt out just a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I got to bring the light in here for you. And then we'll push that right over the top of it. And we're in. There we go. And we're in. Okay. Now the bracket right here, there are 2 bolts on the reverse side of this, here and here. They are 18 millimeters. So let me crack them loose. And they're probably pretty tight, so I might have to use the breaker bar here. So let's see if I can't break that loose. And we'll take these bolts off. Now, in no way, shape, or form am I any kind of professional mechanic. I'm a backyard guy that just wants to try and do some of my own stuff without having to pay $150 an hour labor. All right, let me see if I can get you in here. Take a peek at this. This is from the top side looking straight down to the floor. Right here's one of the 18 millimeters, and right there's the other. I already have that out. We'll just twist this one out. There it comes, and then we'll take the bracket off. I gotta clean that up a little bit. All right, I just sprayed this down with a little bit of brake clean. Sit there for a second. We're gonna take the rotor off. There's a Torx bolt right here. That is a T30 Torx bolt. Let's see if we can't get that out of there too. That is definitely just barely holding that in there. This is not torqued real tight. Had some difficulty finding any form of torque spec for that actual little bolt there. So let's get the rotor off here, and let's see if we can't get this rotor off of here. There we go. Didn't look to be too bad. Clean all that up in there while we're at it. Yeah, there we go. Clean it up a little bit. Now we put this other rotor back on. We're going to put a little bit of anti-seize in here. Since we are from the Northeast, we get a lot of road salt. Put a little bit right around there. That's what seems to hang up sometimes, right around the hub, the axle hub. Put a little bit in here, and there we go. That's good. I stuck my fingers right in it. See, you can tell I'm not a professional. Put my fingers right in it. And here's our new one. Let's clean this up before we put it in. Get my dirty mitts off of it. I have paw prints all over it. There we go. Get this little Torx bolt back in there and start putting her back together. I'm gonna overdo it and snap that off. Let me clean up the front of this with brake clean too, since I got paw prints all over that. Give me a second here. Take the little brake pad clips out. Right, can you see this? Right here, there's a little tab that pushes down into the metal, and that's what makes it hard to get off. But if you get a little pry tool in behind that, they pop right out. Both sides. Get that in there. See how easy that is? Comes out real nice. All right, we'll get the new ones in there. Snap them in there. Just like this. What's nice is they can only go one way, and they center themselves based on the tabs on the inside. So you can't overdo it one way or one direction or the other. Let me get these in here. There we go. Right in there. Look at that. All right, we'll put a little bit of anti-seize in there too, and we'll get it back together. All right, we got a little bit of anti-seize on our brake clips, or the pad clips, and Now we're going to put her back in there. Set her up here. Ready to go. And our bolts here, it has a red Loctite on it, but the specs are saying blue Loctite. So we got us a little bit of blue Loctite here. Put that bolt in. Let me see if I can show you that from the top also. See if we can do this and help you out so that you can see it. Here's the bottom one. And we got our blue Loctite on there, so we're going to get her in there. See if I can get her lined up to get the thread started. There we go. Got the thread started, so. All right, we're going to torque them down. And it looks like the rear torque spec on this little slide bolt, this 12 millimeter, the pin bolt, looks like that's about 38 foot-pounds. And the bracket bolt, the ones you just watched me put in, is at 80. So if I'm incorrect, I'm sure somebody's going to let me know, but that's what I could find. So let me crank them down. Oh, I got to set this to... All right, let's see how we did. That wasn't too bad. Let's do the bottom one. There we go. That wasn't too bad. All right. I was gonna say, can you guys see that? And we'll get them in there. There we go. The backside is smooth. That goes against the piston of the caliper. And now we'll put the front one in and see if we can see that. We'll get this one right in there. Same way. Right in there. There we go. Before we put this together, now I did, before we got started here, took the cap off of the brake fluid. This uses .3 for this particular vehicle. And we're going to put some anti-seize where it rubs on the brake pad. So let's get her back in there. We'll just slide her right in there. There we go. And we'll put these little 12 millimeter bolts back. Get them started. Now remember, this is what I was showing you, the flat side. It's got to be right against that flat side, this side or that way, whichever way you turn it. But it's got to be against that, or it's going to continue to spin when you try to tighten these down. Let me get the other one in. Have it in here. So this is what I'm talking about. If this is what I'm talking about. If this caliper pin isn't flat against the flange that's on the actual caliper body, you won't get the bolt in. So you got to get it flat. Otherwise you won't get the bolt started because it's not lining up. Like I'm having difficulty doing, you can see it. There we go. See how that line right up there to get in there? All right, let me get out of here. So the torque spec for the little caliper slide bolts is supposed to be 38 pounds. So we'll see if we can't get to that. I'm having a hard time seeing it. The little light that I'm using right now is creating a good amount of glare for me. There we go. Okay, so we got her set to 38 pounds. Let's see if we can't get that figured out right here. Oop, I didn't turn it all the way tight by hand. Making sure the boot is where it is. Remember I told you that little ring there that you got to be over. There we go. All good. So there you have it. That's the rear brakes and rotors. So let's get to the front. Hey, while we're here, I just want to tell you this too. When you're doing your lug nuts, let me give you a shot of it right here. When you're doing your lug nuts, always start them by hand. You'll know immediately if they're cross-threaded. If you put them on there and hit them with the gun and give them the beans, you're going to possible of cross-threading it and stripping out your studs here. So always start your lug nuts by hand. Then you can put the gun to them. All right. So here we go. We're on the front. And 4-piston caliper. And first thing we got to do, we already can see this if I give you enough light. In fact, that's kind of nice. You get to see this little cotter pin sticking up. There's one at each pin. That one's twisted around a little bit. See if we can't get it to rotate. Get it down. Yeah. See if we can clock it so that we can actually get it around. There we go. The ends of the pins for the brake shoes actually has a Phillips head in it, and you can grab a hold of it to kind of clock it in the direction that you want. And that there, if you can see that, is exactly what these little cotter pins look like. You got to save them. You buy brake shoes in the kit, you don't get the little cotter pins. All right. And you can see how the plate goes underneath. That's weaved underneath. Now the way we're going to get them out is we're going to knock them out. I'm sure they're not pretty rusted, but probably have some corrosion on them. So let's see if we can't get them out. Let's knock them out. Oh, that's moving pretty good. All right, well, here we go. We got them out. You can see we're going to have to clean them up like we did the other ones. You saw how we did it. I used a different trick. Instead of trying to wire wheel them, I actually put it into a drill, and then you can hold sandpaper or Scotch-Brite right around them and clean them up. It works pretty well instead of smashing your knuckles trying to go around this with a wire wheel. So once you have the pins out, make sure you don't lose those little cotter pins. We'll put them together, and then here's your retainer. Get rid of that. And then we'll see if we can't get these bolts undone. They're 18mm bolts, but from the factory they got red thread locker on them. And boy, oh boy, is that tough to get out. So let me show you where they are. And then, so we're referring to that bolt there, and then the one on the bottom right here. Boy, did I struggle with that. They were really tight. Breaker bar, standing up, pushing my legs. I think I blew a blood vessel in my head. Wow. That's crazy. Now, I think the front, if I remember, when I looked it up, it's like 170 pounds to tighten these up. And then you use the blue thread locker, not the red, but from factory. Let's see if I can get one out of here and we'll take a look at it. I'm pretty sure that the factory used the red, the more permanent thread locker. See if we can't take a, yeah. Hit the light. Can you see the red in it? Wow, and all the way too. Whew. No wonder I struggled. All right, let me get the other one out. All right, well, we got both bolts out. Let's see if we can pull this off and not have to pry it off. Wow, that worked. Fell out right away. See if we can't get the back one out of there right away. Wow, there's a lot left on these. Yeah, pretty good amount left. Where's the screen pad at? Oh boy, well, that side we're getting kind of close. I bet I wouldn't have had too much left on it. But like I told you, this was a year ago. They told me I needed brakes and rotors, and I put on like 15,000 miles on the truck. And they told me that if I was lucky, I'd get 2,000 to 3,000 miles before I'd need brakes. So I'm having a hard time being very trusting of these garages. They all do the same nonsense. It's disappointing. All right, so the first thing we're going to do here is, as you can see, let me get you up here. The pistons are pushed out. We need to push them back. So we're going to do, if you push one and the other one will come out. So I have a circular plate we're going to put on that with a C-clamp. We're going to tighten it up and push them back. So let me get that set up and then I'll show you. All right, so here we go. So here's my piece of steel junk flat stock that I have. Probably looks like I used a hole saw on something, and that was what left over. So we're just going to crank this tight, push them pistons back. That's working quite well. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side, just to push them pistons back to make life a little bit easier when we go to get the shoes in. Yeah, there we go. All right, let me get the other side set up. And while we're in here, we got that rotor off. Let's clean this up a little bit. And some of that right there. A little bit of corrosion around the hub. And we'll clean some of this up and then hit it up with, like I said, some anti-seize. So we're just gonna rub this, clean this up a little bit. So when I get her cleaned up, we'll bring it right back. Boy, that ether smarts that brake clean when you get it in a cut, doesn't it? All right, so we're going to put a little bit of anti-seize around the hub. Again, because we're from the Northeast here and we got road salt everywhere. All right, so this is the rotor we're going to put on there, the new one, slotted. Just try to clean them up from all your paw prints. Try to get them off, and then we're gonna put this back on, and we'll clean up the front. And you want to get grease and whatnot all over your new brake shoes, brake pads. All right, we got her in there. Let's see if it doesn't look too bad, even though it looks like it's clean. Look at that. And we got our caliper ready to go back in. We're going to get them 18mm bolts going. Put a little bit of blue, oh, got a little bit much on that one. Blue thread locker. I don't know if I can bring you along here for that. Once I have this connected, I'll bring you in for the bottom one real close. Let me get flipped around here, bring in for the bottom one from the back side. Hoping we got enough light for you from the back side. So right there's where the second one is. You can see that one's still threaded out. We started it. We're going to get this one started. See if I can hold it up with the camera and get it started at the same time. Not going to be easy. Having some difficulty here. Let me try to set this down and see if you can view it from that angle. I don't know. Let's see. Hopefully you can see it. All right, we got that started right away. All right. I'll get you back in here. Get these brake pads in there. Make sure they're right. There's my scratch pad. All right, give me a minute to clean up them pins. Same trick here, you just put them pins in your drill and clean them up. Alright, here we go. So they didn't turn out too bad. Cleaned them up pretty nice. Get them in there. So here's your retainer, and you would almost think that it wants to go like this in this position. It does not. It goes in this position, and these little ears fit between the brake pads. And now, as you can see, where that little loop is, bring these in from the back. Look at that, man. They went right in when they're all cleaned up. Wow. Oh, I spoke too soon. Let's tap that one in. There you go. All right. So let's see where that one's not clocked too bad, and that one I can't see. So let's get the screwdriver and see if we can't. Is there a light going out on us? We can spin them around. It is. Guess I gotta charge it. Sorry. Got them spun around now, so we can put the cotter pins back in, and we should be good. That's these little tiny ones. Remember, we pulled these out. They go between the brake pad and the caliper. That one's in. When I did the other wheel, I actually dropped it between the brake pad and the caliper, and I did not want to take it apart, so we're all good. All right, let me spin these and make it harder for them to come out. There we go. So we're all good. Everything looks all right. Let me torque them back bolts. There's 18 millimeters to 170 pounds, and we should be good. I'm going to struggle with this, so just give me a minute and we'll get them torqued. Boy, that seems awful tight, but there we go. On the money. Okay, all good. Let me clean some of this stuff up and we'll get right back to you. All right, well, there you go. We did a little bit of maintenance, brakes, rotors, tire rotation. We're going to do a little bit more, but I'll put that in another video. I know you're catching a glimpse in the background of the new Fishbox garage, but we'll give you a tour once I'm complete. I still have some things to do. So almost complete, but we're working on it. And we'll give you a real good tour once we're complete.